Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining our Signworld webinar today. My name is Jeannie Borum, and I'm part of the corporate team here at Signworld and will be your moderator for our session. For those of you who have never joined one of these in the past or watched a recording, just a quick high-level overview of what to expect for this next hour. First, we're going to have each of our three owners give a background overview of themselves, a little bit where they're located, years in business, what they did before they joined their started their Signworld operation, size of their operation, number of employees, etc. Just so you have a better understanding of who they are, where they're located, and a little bit about their journey so far. After they do their introductions, then we're going to turn the floor over to our participants who have joined in, and each of you will be asked to come off of mute at a certain point. Just share where you're located and go right into a question for the panel to ask or to answer. We do ask you to keep it to a single question. We do have quite a few people already logged in for today, so we'll probably only get one round of questions per person. If there is time left over, we'll definitely go around for some additional ones, but please keep it at one question. So with that said, let's introduce you to our owner panelists today, and I'm going to go in order of youngest in years in business and start with Mr. Ron Martin first. Ron, please give us an introduction.
Yeah, afternoon. My name is Ron Martin. I own South Lake Signs here in the Tampa Bay region. We've been in business since October of 23. So last year was my full calendar year. I've got 3,500 square foot warehouse, 2 full-time employees, about 4 contractors that do installations for me. I'm essentially doing, I'd say, 99% of installations through a contractor versus myself. 2025 sales projections. So my goal for 25 of invoiced is 500,000. Right now, I'm tracking at 360 and feel like 500 will get there. So I said last year, 2024 was my first full calendar year, started in October of 23. As of 5/1, we had already beat our 2024 invoices. So 25 is moving along quite well. Biggest customer. So we just installed a church monument sign, 10 foot by 10 foot, double-sided, interior lit, that ran about just under $40,000 fully installed. Just got installed right before Easter. So, and my background and career. So I was 27 years in disability insurance with 3 different carriers working on the operations side. So when I left MetLife was the last carrier I was at, and I was running their FMLA claim operations organization. So I had about 90 people full that I had responsibility through my vertical. So.
Awesome. Thanks for joining and congrats on a great second year so far. That's great to hear. All right, Dave, go ahead and give us an introduction of yourself, please.
All right, thanks. Yeah, I'm Dave Gupta. Own James River Signs here in Newport News, Virginia. We're, I guess, part of the greater Hampton Roads area, right off the bay. We have been in operation now just over 7 years. We operate out of about a 5,200 square foot facility. We've got 3 full-time employees. And then myself and my wife, she works about 3 days a week in the business. I guess it's not necessarily our largest project, but one I'm kind of excited about because we just this year landed jobs with the largest hospital system in our area. Apparently, their previous sign supplier is going out of business, retiring, whatever you want to call it. And so they were looking for a new supplier, and so they gave us a chance. So we're going to finish up our second project for them this week, and that'll be a total of a little over $100,000 year to date just from those 2. And I know they've already told me they've got 3 additional buildings they did just do medical facilities all over the place, and the one we're working on right now, there's a $65,000 job, and it's only for about a third of the facility. They're still renovating the rest of it, so hopefully it'll be lots of good projects for years to come. And my personal background, so I was a corporate guy managing sensor manufacturing operations for about 21, 22 years. So I handled operations, purchasing, manufacturing, engineering, quality, everything associated with operations. And then decided to make the move into running our own thing.
Awesome. Well, great. Glad to have you here today. Thanks for joining, Dave.
Thanks.
All right. And Don, from Atlanta, who's never in Atlanta. Go ahead with an introduction, Don.
You know, the oldest one, you're gonna say, the more mature one, right? Is that
There
what-
you go. That's all right.
We don't want to be either one.
Yeah, either one, right? Don Conklin, we're in Pinnacle Custom Signs in Buford, Georgia, about 20 miles north of the perimeter in Atlanta. Been in business for 14 years. 14 years ago in June, we signed our contract. We're now in 12,500 square feet, 22 employees. Gonna do about $6 million this year. Lots of large projects. We're working on a storage facility in Connecticut, I think. Yeah, Connecticut, which will be about $150,000 between pylon signs and monument signs and channel letter signs. And I was in the telecom industry before this. I was in the operation side of telecom before AT&T re-gobbled up everything else. So.
Very good. Thanks for joining here today. We appreciate it, Don. All right, now it's time for our participants to have a chance to ask questions. I'm going to call you out by name individually. So in order of what I saw you log in, Taylor, I believe you were here first. Go ahead and tell the group where you're located and share a question for the group to answer.
It looks like we have two Taylors actually.
Oh, my bad. Taylor Paddock, please. We'll start with you.
Okay, it's Taylor Adcock, actually.
Ah, very good. Thank you for letting us know.
I'm in Oklahoma City. And how did you approach a business that you had no experience in?
Great question. No one wakes up and wants to start a sign company. So how did you learn this business? Don, let's start with you. I know it's going back to the early days, but how did you learn it?
Are you saying I have problems remembering that far back? Is that what it is?
Not at
No,
all.
I mean, the reason why we chose Signworld, quite frankly, is because Signworld gives you business in a box. You know, you give them a fee, they give you the equipment and all the training and knowledge and know-how and the access to the network of suppliers and other owners. And having that to fall back on and knowing that I had that to be able to do it, I was pretty confident we would be able to do it. And the sign industry is not that difficult, okay? It's you design a sign, you make a sign, you install a sign. You can't really overcomplicate it. Now, are there some really complex and cool signs out there? Yeah, but it's not that big of a deal. So we basically followed the roadmap that was given to us by Signworld and got through the first couple of years and established ourselves, and then we took off from there.
Very good. Dave, how about you? You joined in 2018, right?
Yeah, 2018. Yeah, and I kind of echo what Don said. We, of course, relied heavily on our Signworld partners early on with things like pricing and how to make certain things and so forth. I also agree with him that it's not the most complicated thing. Most of the signage, probably the more complex things when you get into a little bit of the engineering, if you have to comply with certain codes, and of course, understanding your local codes can be a little complicated, but we also, I would say, relied on our subcontract installers early on. You know, I'd tag along with all the installations and watch them install, and you know, it wasn't too long before we got to the point where pretty much we installed everything ourselves, but it's a good way to learn.
Very good. And Ron, how about you?
Yeah, so good question. And that was definitely my fear coming in to it. You know, I'm a year and a half in, learning every day, and it kicks my butt every day. But one of my mentors back from corporate world always said, lean on what you know and learn what you don't, and then bring in technical skill around you on where your weaknesses is. And it's surprising, as much of the technical signage of this sign industry that you don't know, you've got skill sets from your years and work that is very transferable, and you lean on that and build from there. And, like Dave and Don said, Signworld support is phenomenal. It was the reason I went with Signworld, because I wanted to do my own thing and build my business the way I wanted to build it, but I wanted the support around me for those reasons and other. And Signworld's phenomenal for supporting where you need.
Very good. Yeah, I would just add, we have owners from all walks of life, but the one walk of life they're not from is the sign industry. So you're not alone if you've never been anywhere touched in this industry whatsoever. We do have training and programs around every key area. So, all right, let's go to another question. Stanley, if I can ask you to share where you're from and go ahead with the question for the group today.
Hi, I'm from this from the Seattle, Washington area. My question is related to, I guess, sign making, manufacturing expertise. I heard several of you talk about using contractors and leaning on partners for technical help. My question is, can you elaborate more about the use of partners or contractors on the more technical or the the monument signs that you would make at a church or a bank? How do you guys handle that early on, and do you continue to use contractors throughout, or do you go totally in-house with your manufacturing process as you get bigger? Thanks.
Yeah, great question. So Dave, let's start with you. You just talked about the new project that you got coming on. Do you use contractors for that? Walk a little bit through that.
Yeah, so I guess my first comment would be, if you talk to a dozen Signworld owners, you're going to hear a dozen different models of what they make or don't make, and what they install and don't install. And I guess that's one of the neat things about the business, is you can kind of pick and choose your own path on it. I came out of manufacturing and operations, and I kind of like to to make things. So we're trying to learn how to make things as we go. Early on when we started, we only really did the vinyl, and then we started cutting panels and so forth. Then we bought a laser and a router, and getting a little more sophisticated. Now we're getting a paint booth installed and trying to even up the ante a little bit on what we can make. We still don't make channel air signs or monuments, so we still rely on other wholesale partners for those. We did decide fairly early on to try to install most of our signs, and really it was a little bit out of necessity, because we really had a hard time finding anybody reliable in the area that we trusted and that would keep their commitments. And like I said, for us, we just we tailed along with the people we had subcontracted to install, and just observed. And there's a lot of trial and error, and we we install all our own channel air signs, we install our own monuments. Honestly, if it's something too big for us to install, most of the time I'll just turn it down, as opposed to trying to count on somebody else to do it for us. But we will occasionally still use subcontractors, but very, very rarely.
Okay, very good. Ron, as a newer owner, I'm sure you're using them a little bit more holistically in your business. So share a little bit about what your thoughts are on that question.
Yeah, sure. So, I'm a year and a half in, got printer, laminator, plotter in my warehouse, don't have any other equipment. And that yields me to a solid 80% of my work is vended out. So either wholesale production and or installation. And I think the church monument sign is a perfect example that I talk about of, me, this new in being successful through that project. Signworld brings, how many preferred vendors do we have? What do you?
90 plus. It's 92, 93, I think is current.
Yeah. So I used, they have a graphic design company that's a preferred vendor, and the owner is a prior Signworld owner, so he knows sign industry. I went to him with this monument and said, I need help with design, structure, engineering. They were able to put all the specs together, engineered drawings, for architectural stamp and everything for me for that project. My installer in Florida, you have to have a GC or electrical license to pull a permit. And I have a GC licensed installer, so he pulls the permit for me. I'm giving him all the specs on the job. He pulls the permit, does the installation for me. So, it was 100% vended out project. All I was doing was project management. But, kind of pulling the levers and using the resources around me for production. I had a local wholesale sign manufacturer build the sign. I prefer to use local wholesale manufacturers. There's plenty across the country, and Signworld can point you to any kind of vendor that can produce any kind of sign for you. But identifying and finding those wholesalers to help you manufacture those signs that are outside of your capability and skill set is a key.
Very good. Don?
Yeah, as you grow, you wind up bringing a lot more of it in-house. But we do a lot of business across the country, so we'll do the design and the fabrication here in Atlanta, and then we'll hire someone else around the country to install it. We've hired 75 to 100 Signworld owners over the years. I probably write checks to 50 Signworld owners a year. I'm actually writing some checks right now to Texas Custom Signs. You guys know who that is. And so, but what I will tell you is that as you build the business, the decision as to whether you're going to use a subcontractor or a partner or do it yourself really depends on what your business model is and what you're trying to do. We've subcontracted everything out until that subcontractor couldn't meet our timeline or our deadline. It was always about the customer. So if our bucket truck guys were, 4 or 5 weeks out on being able to do something for my customer, and I wanted to service my customer faster, get a bucket truck and operate that. Same thing with the manufacturing of letters or routing of signs and things like that. It's all about delivering on the promise to the customer, and that's how we approach it. We didn't bring things in-house if we could get the product or the service as quickly as we needed to and as much of a quality as we needed to from someone else. It's only when we saw an advantage of bringing it in-house to control our destiny ourselves that we did it for the most part.
Very good. Jack, anything to add?
You're going to start out with simpler things and then move into the bigger things. It's not like you take on the most complicated side in the beginning. So, don't scare yourself of, I got to take on these monster projects to begin with. It evolves.
Yeah, very good advice there. All right, let's move to another question. Kurt, if you could take yourself off of mute, tell the group where you're located and go ahead with the question.
Hi, good afternoon. Yeah, we're located in the Peoria, Illinois area. And so my question would be is, what was the hardest part of your first 2 years?
All right. Well, Ron, you're still in your first 2 years. So what's the hardest part that you're going through or that you've gone through?
I'd say cash flow. First year I was negative revenue. It's hard to get your revenue up to the level to be profitable, and you've got to be capitally funded to support that period, and learning good strategies, not only increasing revenue to become profitable, but how to manage your cash flow has been, where I think about and work on and try to improve.
Okay, very good. Dave, how about you? What was your biggest challenge in your first 2 years?
Biggest challenge. Yeah, I mean, there's so many challenges your first couple of years, like Ron said, cash flow, and of course, finding customers. But I think for us in particular, I think it kind of goes back to, I mentioned that we had a hard time finding a installation partner. And that was a bit of a challenge, in part because we're like a lot of places where you can't draw a permit unless you have a contractor license, and you can't get a contractor license in Virginia unless you have 2 years of experience. And so it was a bit of a catch-22. And so you know, for the first couple of years, we were fortunately able to convince one of our subcontractors to draw some permits for us on our behalf and let us do the installation for some small, simple things. But it's a bit of a challenge finding good people to partner with, I would say.
Okay, very good. And Don, how about you? What were your biggest challenge in your first 2 years?
Well, is there anything that wasn't a challenge, I guess would be the question, but I would tell you that the biggest challenge was building the brand. Because taking the 2 years to build the brand, get your name out there in the marketplace and get yourself known out there, that's the biggest challenge. Was it the most difficult thing for me? No, because I like to talk to people, right? But it is the most challenging thing because the future success of your business really depends on how you build your brand in those first couple of years and establish yourself in the local marketplace. So I would say that was probably the biggest challenge. That and cash flow, I would also say, because you're trying to build the business and also not only build the business, but hire new employees when you need to hire them and get new equipment when you need to get new equipment. So, but I would say, you know, your number one job as an owner of the company is to build the brand and get yourself established in the marketplace.
Very good. Jack, anything to add?
No, we'll go ahead and keep going on others. We've got a lot of people here for questions.
Okay. All right, next participant, David, if you can take yourself off of mute, tell the group where you're located and go ahead with the question.
Hey, good afternoon. Located in greater St. Louis area. Guess my question would be, had to do it all over again, especially maybe in the first year or two, what would you have done differently?
Always a good question. I'll go to Dave first. Dave, if you were to start all over, what would you have done different?
I mean, that's a good question. It's a tough question though. People have asked me that because I think we would have maybe been more aggressive hiring an installer earlier on. But you know, when you say what would you have done differently, it's not that we didn't try. We just struggled with things like that. So I think maybe I would have not been so hung up on trying to find someone with lots of experience, and just trying to find somebody that had the skill level and the work ethic and you know, the kind of values that we have, and gone with that.
Okay, love it. Don, how about you? If you go back in time, what would you have done different?
I signed a contract in June, and didn't start marketing my company until August. So I think I lost 2 months before I opened my doors. So I would have started marketing myself the day after I got back from California and signed the contract to become part of Signworld. Because it all builds from when you start, you know, putting yourself out there in the marketplace. And I think those 2 months could have certainly helped me get up the ramp a lot faster.
Okay, very good. Ron, how about you?
Yeah, I would, you know, for myself, I'm not a marketing person, so marketing, understanding it better, and that's what I'm on a journey now, both from a web marketing perspective, but also networking, right? When you're opening your doors, you know, unless you have really good contacts of potential clients that could use you, your web marketing is really going to drive your business. And having a better understanding of how that's built, you know, there's so many details and so many intricacies and so many strategies of web marketing that I need to understand better. But also, you quickly get into a journey of, I want to network and build relationships and make connections so that I'm bringing in business regardless of what my web marketing is. And, you know, so that's what I focus on now, is being a better marketer on both sides of the game.
Very good. Jack, any additions?
You know, it's getting that website up early because it takes time for it to build its energy. I wouldn't wait, as Don did, until come back from training, I would do it the day you sign a contract, because it takes time to build those relationships and reaching out to people. It's working right from the beginning.
Absolutely. All good advice. Okay. Jesse, if you can take yourself off of mute, go ahead with your question for today.
Yeah. So I know you guys are all from different backgrounds, although interestingly, all in kind of operational roles. But yeah, I know it's subjective, but what do you find kind of the most fulfilling activity or aspect on a day-to-day business, right? I mean, obviously there's the long-term goals of building the business, et cetera, but on a daily basis, what kind of gets you up in the morning?
Love it. Great question.
Oh, sorry,
Go
I'm
ahead, Don.
Jesse from Massachusetts, by the way.
Thank
I
you.
was
All right.
I was in telecom for 22 years. I never saw dial tone, but I can see my signs all over the place when I drive around. I will tell you that the most fulfilling thing is that every day is different. I mean, you buy a McDonald's, you're flipping burgers every day. You find another franchise, you're doing the same thing every day. In the sign industry, I could be doing a wrap this morning. I could be doing a channel letter sign next day. I could do not monuments to sign the next day. Every day is different. Every day is fun. And it's just amazing to see the growth of the people in the organization and the company as we're providing those things. We're working on a $90,000 trailer that's going to be part of the Hot One show in 2 months, I think. That is totally, it's going to be a rolling sign. It's a 40-foot trailer. It's going to have all sorts of channel letters on it and structures that we're building. And, my guys have figured it out and how to do it. And they're going to be putting it together next week when I'm in South Africa. So I'm not too worried about that. I won't be able to see the final product until I see it on the TV show, but it's stuff like that that gets you up in the morning. What's a fun and exciting and challenging project? Yeah, it's a lot more fun than sending 110 banners to 110 locations of my largest customer. That was a lot of money, but it wasn't nearly as much fun as this one trailer is at this point in time.
Love it. Great excitement there. Dave, how about you? What's the most rewarding part to you?
I think maybe, I mean, you deal with so many small business owners and they're going through all the struggles of starting up their business. And when they see their sign up, it's like so exciting for them. I mean, I can't tell you the number of times that we've had owners come out there and they're, live streaming on TikTok or whatever as their sign's going up. And to be honest, there's times I'm like, well, that's just a channel or something. It's not not that special, but they think it's the best thing in the world when they see their sign going up, because it's their brand, it's their business, and they've invested their life into it. And so that's probably what I like the most.
Very good. Ron, how about you?
I tell you what gives me the most energy is building connections inside of my community. It's so fun to meet with a customer, and they'll need a sign, and I'm very intentional of walk me around your facility, tell me what you do. Sometimes it gives me material for opportunities to talk about what we can help them with, but sometimes it doesn't. But it's so fun to see different companies around me and what they're doing. And I stop in the middle of the tour so many times and said, I was in corporate America for 27 years, in this area for 15 years, never knew you existed. And that's what I love about the work that I do is I've got a connection with you. So interesting, the work that they're doing. And then, like Dave and Donna saying, helping them out with their branding is, on top of everything else.
Yeah, very fascinating. Cool. Love it. All right, let's go to our next guest for a question. Jim, if you can take yourself off of mute, tell the group where you are and go ahead with the question.
Hi, guys. I'm outside of Chicago, and actually you've answered two of my top questions, so I'll go to question number 3. What do you think is the strongest way that you secure a new piece of business, whether it be networking or web advertising, or what do you think really is a strong way to do that?
Great question. What drives customer acquisition? Let's see. Don's talking. Ron, let's start with you first. What do you think makes clients want to do business with you?
Well, first I got to ask Jim where he's from, Chicago area, because I grew up in Crown Point, Indiana.
I am currently 40 miles straight west of Chicago in Geneva, Illinois.
Got it. Yeah. You know, every project's different and price point's different. But when I'm pursuing a 5-star customer, you know, a customer I feel like good current bid and good opportunities for future work, it's all about the relationship. Pricing is secondary. If I can get out, meet them, you know, tour their facility, get excited about the work and the business that they're in, and talk about the different stuff that we can help and provide to them. That's what sells the business 9 times out of 10. Pricing becomes very secondary.
Okay. Dave, how about you? Why do customers buy from you? What do you think are the keys?
Well, I mean, I think just something as basic as responsiveness is a huge thing. I mean, I think in our first month or two, it seemed like every inquiry we got where we got an order was because somebody came and said, well, I contacted a sign company, they haven't gotten back to me for 3 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever. And I mean, I could probably draw a graph which shows our turnaround time on a quote is directly, you know, related to our success rate of getting the or not even a quote, but just responding when the customer inquires and says they have a sign need, getting back to them within hours and certainly no more than a day, and then following up with a site survey and a quote very promptly is directly related to our success rate.
Very good. And Don, how about you? What do you think are the keys to winning business?
Speed kills is what I'll say. Quick anecdotal story. So I like telling the story. I'll make it quick. There was a firework company coming into the Atlanta area called Phantom Fireworks. Georgia had just passed the law legalizing fireworks in Georgia. Got a call one morning in June because the laws go into effect on July 1. Operations manager for Phantom Fireworks. He found me because of the internet. We were opening up a spot in Beaufort. He goes, I'm opening a spot in Beaufort. Can you make me a sign? I said, sure. He says, do you handle other areas of Atlanta? I said, well, yeah, I can handle all of Atlanta. He goes, I've got a location in Stockbridge and I got a location in Duluth. Can you handle those? I said, sure. This is 9 o'clock on a Friday morning. I said, can you send me your artwork? He says, yeah, I'll send you my artwork. I went and did 3 site surveys, sent them back to the office. My lead designer, Joanne, put 3 proofs together, sent them to him on Friday afternoon, gave him a price on Monday morning, had a $35,000 check in my hand on Wednesday. When I went back and asked him why he chose me, he says, I already asked Treasury to cut you a check before any other sign company responded to me. So that's just a classic example of speed kills.
Yeah, love it. Jack, any additional comments?
It's an industry where technicians are trying to run a business. We're business people running a sign company. Show up for the appointment. Businesses there.
Yeah, great advice. All right, we're going to continue questions, but we're going to have Sheree start some slideshows in the background. There'll be no audio to them, but they're going to kind of walk through some general visual tools for you. One show will show a variety of work that our owners are able to create, both in-house with the basic equipment package and then outsource production. Another slideshow will just be profiles of some of our owners and who they are, where they're located. And then the third one is just some unique projects that a lot of our owners have done, kind of a wall of fame, not necessarily in size of dollars, but just unique projects as well. So as we'll continue as we carry on with additional questions. So let's go to our next participant, Matt. So if you can take yourself off of mute, tell the group where you're located and go ahead with the question.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. My name is Matt Beecher. I'm here in Ormond Beach, Florida, but in the process of relocating up to Chattanooga, Tennessee. And I think, you know, my questions largely revolve around some of the things that were asked early, kind of that onboarding, the startup process. And I think Jack really just hit the nail on the head a moment ago when he mentioned, you know, technicians running businesses as the main competitors. To that end, can some of you talk about how you're leveraging the network of owners or the training to fill that technical gap? It sounds like, you know, a lot of us and a lot of the people you work with are business people that are learning signs. How did you lever, whether it's other owners? I know, Don, you mentioned levering other owners for installs, but as far as that technical onboarding, how are you guys using the training and other owners for some of that?
Yeah, great question. So Ron, let's start with you. Obviously, you didn't know the sign industry. How technical do you have to be as a business owner? I think maybe clarifying that, and then how did you get the knowledge to be able to do that?
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of detail in this work, and there's a lot of detail at each level. And you know, Signworld provides quite a few resources. Jack has a call, sales specific, Monday mornings. There's a new owner sales call Monday afternoon. Another Signworld resource has a technical standing meeting on Tuesday. Dan provides a Thursday meeting for brand new owners just on logistics. We have a mastermind group of peer Signworld owners. They're about at the same pace. There's about 8, maybe 10 of us in the group that we meet weekly and just talk about, hey, I've got this going on, either success or struggle, and learning off of each other. But then, besides all of that, there's 350 Signworld owners a phone call away. And I spent a lot of time in the first months calling a couple Signworld owners that I had made a relationship through this process and, just my local area, and just picking up the phone and, hey, I've got this job. What is it? Right. And this industry and the peers in the Signworld Alliance is fantastic of, sitting down and let's talk through it. Let me help you out. Let me put you in the right direction. So you're kind of the limitation of how well you're going to do. And part of that limitation is how much are you going to ask questions? There's a lot that you need to struggle through and figure out on your own, but understanding at what point do I need to pick up the phone and ask for help, is a significant trigger for you.
Absolutely. Don, how about you? How technical does an owner need to be, especially in the beginning? And, how did you learn those technical skills and become more confident in yourself as a business owner?
I can't make a sign, I can't design a sign, and I can't install a sign. And I take great pride on that because I've hired people that can actually do that for me. My job is to sell signs, period, end of story. Now, I need to know enough to know I need a permit for this type of sign, or I'm going to need an electrical contractor for that type of sign, all the technical details that would affect my staff by the type of sign. But in reality, I don't get into the weeds. I don't get into the details. I don't need to. I mean, if I'm getting into those details, then I'm doing someone else's job. My job solely is to be Pinnacle Custom Signs to the marketplace and to be able to sell enough signs to keep my staff busy. So are there enough technical resources? Yes. Can I talk to any Signworld owner? Yes. Have I done that? Yes, but I've not gotten down to the point of how do I weld this arm of this sign onto that sign, or what kind of profile am I going to use in this printer, or what kind of material am I going to use on that? I use that to leave that to the experts so I could free up my time to do what's, they'd rather have me selling. They need me on that wall. They want me on that wall, quite frankly. So.
I love it. That's a nice reference to A Few Good Men there. All right, Dave, how about you? How technical, do you think you need to be as a business owner in the beginning, and what's your comments on acquiring that knowledge?
Yeah, I don't, especially at the beginning, because you're probably selling simpler things, and so you don't really need to have a ton of knowledge. And it's just one of those things you pick up the terminology as you get more involved in bigger projects, and again, just talk to your peers. The Signworld forum is a good place to get input, and your other your owners. Network of owners are great for helping out, and you learn more details as you go, and then you can talk the talk, and it's not the most complicated thing. So I think you just learn as you go.
No, very good. Jack, any additional comments there?
No, I think you've got that well answered.
Okay. All right, let's go to our next participant. Michael, if you can take yourself off of mute and go ahead with the question.
Absolutely. First and foremost, thank you everybody for your attendance. It's really been an eye-opening experience in hearing your personal experiences. So thank you for your time in today's session. But a lot of the questions that I had were already answered, but I guess that's what happens when you're one of the last ones to come on. So I apologize for being a little tardy. That said, we talked a little bit about the challenges and some of the things that we would have done differently if you know, we had a magic ball and we were to be able to say what we could and couldn't do or should or shouldn't do. But what type of support did you feel that you've received from the franchise itself to be able to help you overcome some of those obstacles and challenges, so you know that number one, you're not alone, and number two, that you have the ability to rely on someone to make sure that you are successful?
Yeah, can't emphasize the community enough. That's a key part of the program for sure. Don, how would you say you leverage those resources and what's been helpful for you?
Again, it's just knowing what they are and knowing when to use them, right? It's like a gym. If you buy a gym membership and don't go to the gym, you're not gonna really have any success with it. So it's knowing what resources are available, what resources you should utilize, and then utilize them when you have an opportunity to be able to do so. I mean, again, I think Signworld, you can probably quote a number, Jeannie, about how many hours of training and webinars and everything you guys have. I mean, if you want to learn something, there's a webinar or something that has been done that will teach you how to do it. I never have that issue. And I also know, based upon the forum and everything like that, which Signworld owners I can call to get ideas on certain things. And so it's just a matter of leveraging that and not being afraid to pick up the phone and call if you want to.
Absolutely. Dave, how about you?
Well, I think, I mean, obviously, especially in the very, very beginning stages, when you don't know really anything, the pricing webinars and things of that nature are highly important. You know, as we got a little further into our experience, then we probably relied directly on the Signworld staff as much and relied a little bit more on our coworkers just sharing experiences and, you know, sign ideas, how to do things. Then that became a little bit more important to us.
Very good. And Ron, how about you? What resources do you find the most valuable?
Yeah, I mean, my mastermind group is invaluable. You know, we've got a great relationship. We meet every week, and you know, we saw each other at conference and said it really stinks that we don't get to see each other for another year because we have that great relationship. But you know, coming into this, you know, being in corporate America, doing a lot of hiring and firing, you know, I went off of a position of I want people to work with me, for me, that I enjoy working with, that are hard workers, strong ethics, and want to do the right thing. And when I was looking to own my own business, I knew I needed some type of support system around me, and that was one of my key characteristics of, you know, looking at franchise models and different businesses, and you know, meeting the leadership of Signworld leaders, you know, owners, Jack and team, and then meeting peer owners. It was crystal clear to me that it was, you know, a great group of people that only want the best for you, and you know, so.
Okay, very good. Jack, any additional comments?
I really believe you could turn off your TV for the rest of your life and just watch webinars that we have recorded over the years. There's more content than you could ever imagine. But it's really the community. While Simon was there to give a lot of MC and coordinate a lot of help, it's this peer network that bought into a pay it forward family. It's totally different than the franchise world.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good. All right, to our, I believe our last guest, Narav, I believe you're still, yep, you're here. Go ahead and come off of mute and go ahead with your question.
Sure, thanks. So I'm Narav, based out of New Jersey, and I have a two-part question. The first part of the question is, when you guys started, you know, how did you approach the marketing and the sales aspect of it to get your first maybe few customers? And then the second part of the question is, you know, how long before you guys turned profitable?
All right, well, let's talk about the first customers first, and I'll actually save the second question for another round. So let's just first talk about how did you get your initial customers? Ron, let's start with you as the newest owner. How did you get your initial orders?
Yeah, all through web marketing. I got my website up as fast as I possibly could to get that marketing going. And then I spent time investigating and looking for network groups, but that was my second layer of engaging in customers. But, that took probably 6-9 months before I felt comfortable with joining any network groups. But, getting the website up was number one.
Okay. Dave, how about you? How'd you get your initial orders? Oh, did we lose Dave? I know he fell off earlier. Okay, Don, we'll go to you next. How'd you get your initial orders?
First order was my son's wife's aunt's business. My second one was the nonprofit that my sister-in-law was on the board of. And then I went ahead and joined a lot of networking groups around the area, chambers of commerce, closed networking groups, and basically was going to 7 to 8 networking meetings a week for a long time while my website got up and running. So I would say the networking was the networking and the letting friends and family know that you're in the sign business were the two things that helped us out.
Yeah, absolutely. Dave, I know you fell off for a moment there. The question is, how did you get your initial customers? What led to your initial orders? How did you find, or how did they find you? And I think you're muted, so you might need to unmute your phone there. Oh, I might need to come back to Dave. I see he's having some technical issues.
Okay, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
All right, sorry about that. I don't know what my computer keeps dropping out, so I connected on my phone. Yeah, so initial orders, we did join the BNI, we did join Chamber of Commerce, and so probably initial orders were a lot of referrals from that. But we pretty quickly relied on our website to get orders, and pretty much 90% of our new orders come through our website at this point.
Okay, very good. Jack, any additional comments on that one?
Well, the one thing you're not going to do is go out knocking on doors, cold calling. Until your website starts driving the traffic, which more often happens the last half of the first year. We're going to give you over 60 different activities you can do over those first months. Not that you need to do them for the rest of your life, but to build relationships with those businesses in your market that have a need. By the end of the first year, you probably don't have time to do the networking anymore. By the time you're in business a couple of years, it's all repeats and referrals and a little bit of new business. So the business becomes pretty self-generating. Of all the operations we have in the system, don't have a single one that has a commission salesman out hunting for business.
All right, very good. So now we're going to go to the second question. And actually, I saw this in the Q&A box. So we're going to kind of add this question to the group. So if you can recall, when did you become cash positive in your business, where the expenses were being covered by the sales of your business? When did you start pulling a paycheck or a salary for yourself? And if you're willing, share your gross margins and your net margins. But again, if you're willing and comfortable doing so. So let's see, I'll start with you, Don, because I know you know your numbers like the back of your hand, or at least you usually do. So let's see if you still do.
We broke even 1 month later than Jack Werner did, which was our second month in business. I still think if I would have started marketing early, Jack, I could have done it in the first month. Start taking a paycheck in 6 months. Gross margin is 72% because I'm doing everything in-house. And our net margin is running about 23%.
Okay, very good. Ron, how about you?
First quarter of this year, I made $460 in the green. It was my first profitable quarter. I said I should go out and blow all the money. So first quarter of second year profitable. I haven't taken any money from the business, but it's been supporting itself. And year to date, I'm just under $30,000 profitable at a 63%
What's the box,
growth.
Jasmine?
63% gross, and I forget my net, but
Okay, very good. Dave, how about you?
You don't know your number?
I didn't know my
Oh.
net. I knew my gross. Apologies.
Yeah, so I think our first profitable month was probably around month 7 or so. But to be honest, you kind of fluctuate early on. You have a big order that finishes and you're profitable, then the next month you're a little slower. So it was probably not really till second year that we were consistently above even, and that was second year when we started drawing a paycheck. As of right now, we typically run about 55% gross margin and a little over 30% net profit.
Very good. Jack, anything to add to that?
Maybe you want to talk slightly about the surveys and how you do that.
Yeah, I'm happy to. Just a real quick comment on it in general, though. Whenever we're, talking to you as prospective owners, we do encourage you to have a year's worth of living expenses identified to be covered in some way. Pulling any money out of the business in the first year, as you can hear, some of them don't even have the ability to do so. But it's just, as you're starting to grow your business, as Dave said, investing in a new person or just other things, the cash flow comment early on, we just really recommend that you think about not only the business investment, but covering a year's worth of expenses. So typically owners in years 2 and 3 are in a much more favorable position. We do have owner surveys that we conduct every year. We do have an earnings claim, and there's data from that we can share with you individually to kind of walk you through that. But, the typical is break even for year 1. Income in year 2 is typically around 80 to 100K, and year 3, it's usually around 150 and above. It does vary. It's an owner-driven business. Some are more profitable in the beginning than others. Some are intentionally trying to build really big businesses, so they have different plans. So we'll work with you individually to kind of talk about your financial needs and what those average expectations are. But lots of data and lots of information to share around that. All right, well, that was the last question for the first round. We do have a minute or two for another. So at the very bottom of your screen, you can raise your hand and I'll see who raises their hand first for a second question for the owners to answer. Jesse, go ahead. You were the first one I saw.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess my other question would be, what was the kind of process of finding your specific angle or specialization, if you have one, right? Whether it was personal interest, market demand, profitability, et cetera.
Love it. Don, did you find a niche or did the niche find you, or do you still do it all? Tell us a little bit about your journey.
I would say our niche is customers that have don't want a low price and want a turnkey solution to what they're doing, and have multiple locations and multiple sign needs. So that includes apartment complex management companies, property management companies, office buildings, franchisees, franchisors, things like that. And within those subsets, we do everything from an office sign all the way up to channel letters and monument signs for them. So it really came to find us, but what we're finding out is that people, when they find a sign guy who performs, and it's like, let's say it's apartment complexes, and it's a company that runs 15 apartment complexes in Atlanta. And, the guy at apartment complex A tells the guy at apartment complex B, hey, use Pinnacle Custom Signs, and then you have all 15, the apartment complexes in Atlanta, same with the building property management companies and things like that. So, it's just a matter of performing and living up to your promise with each of these customers. And then, 75% of my business is repeat business from existing customers. So that's over $5 million, close to it. So.
Very good. And did you say not looking for the lowest price, or they are looking for the lowest price?
They're not
I think I
looking
heard
for
you
the
right.
lowest price.
Okay.
If they ask me for the lowest price, I basically tell them to go to Sonorama down the street. I actually have their phone number on my desk. So.
Very good. All right. Thank you for clarifying. Ron, how about you?
Yeah, I would say I'm still data gathering. I've been intentionally diverse. I want to see, Tampa market, there's crazy amount of business going on. It's booming. And so I've cast a wide net, want to see what the market shows me for, where the opportunity is, both from a margin perspective and production perspective. So.
Very good. And Dave, how about you? Have you found a niche or?
Yeah, I say from a product standpoint, we don't really have a niche, but from a customer standpoint, there's definitely customers that we are trying to get to, and that's why I was so excited about the hospital, because kind of like Don said, anybody that's got multiple projects and multiple opportunities, hospitals, universities, apartment complex owners, people like that, they're great customers. And sure, we like to help like I said, the small business, the one-off restaurant or hair salon or whatever, but a lot of times they're not going to be repeat customers necessarily.
Yeah, very good. Jack, any additional comments?
In the franchise world, the customer base is defined, the product is defined, and hope you like what you pick. What we recommend is be a little bit general, let the niche come to you and determine what areas of the business fit you, fit your staff, which ones are more better customers, which ones are more profitable. And that way, long-term, you're happier. Let the niche come to you. Most Signworld, if you ask them, why are you doing those types of projects? I did a few of them and I found I liked it. I went after more.
Very good. I see we got Mr. Conklin's, I'm trying to remember, I know it begins with a B. Is it Brandy?
Oh, come on. You're in the sign industry. His name
No,
is Banner.
Banner. That's right. I had it right when I asked. I forgot. Making a appearance here. All right. Good to see that. We have time for one more question. I don't see another hand raised. I'll give a second to see if one does come up on the screen. Now we've asked a lot of really good questions today. Oh, I see one more on the call that I didn't realize was here. So Rob, you're in for the last question of the day. Hopefully you got one ready to go. Rob, can you hear me? He's on. Rob?
Here I am.
All right. Do you have a question for the owners you'd like them to answer for you?
Yes, I actually do. You caught me off guard there. That was quick.
I know. Did you just join? Were you thinking this was the next hour?
Yes, at 2:00. That's when it showed up on my calendar. Did I miss the whole thing?
Sure did, but that's okay. You can watch the recording. It will be available for you to watch later.
That's okay. That's okay.
Right.
I'll just go ahead and pass for now then, and I'll just finish up listening. Yep.
All right. Well, sounds good. Well, at that point, I think we're just going to go ahead. Oh, I guess there is one more question. Narav, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, the question that I have is, how did you guys approach the competitions? I understand, like, getting your first sale. I know you guys are doing a lot of the stuff online, and letting the website drive the traffic. How did you approach competition, right? Like, I mean, there's a lot of local signage companies in New Jersey, and I'm trying to understand, like, if I were to enter this, like, how do I sort of beat them out? And it seems like price is not the answer here. It seems like, speed is, but is there any other angles that you can play?
Yeah, I love the question, Rob. I can't believe it took 10 to get to competition. So I see Don's raising his hand. He wants to answer first. Go ahead, Don.
Does anybody here ever hired a contractor to work on their house? Everybody raise your hand. And that contractor's always been on time, always statused you, always let you know when the project was going to be done and finished on time, correct? Okay, that's your competition. It's a contractor business. As long as you do what you say you're going to do, when you say you're going to do it, at the price you guys agreed on it, you'll win the business 95% of the time. Okay, it's a contractor business out there. You're a business person trying to run a sign company. There are sign people trying to run a business. It's infinitely more difficult to run a business than it is to run a sign company. So,
well said. Well said. Dave, how about you? What's your response to that question?
I mean, I think Don's right. We didn't really worry that much about the competition. It was really just try to respond, and most of the sign companies are having a hard time keeping up with all the opportunities out there. So
Be responsive. Very good. Ron, what do you think are the competitive advantages?
Yeah, I mean, I would say don't get caught in the race to the bottom, right? You don't want to be racing to the cheapest price. And, you know, I'm more and more getting the pulse on, is this customer price shopping or relationship partner shopping? And if they're price shopping, and if they've put this bid out to 10 other sign companies, I'm either going to give them a quick quote, or I'm not going to quote it at all, and I'll tell them that you know, just not the right partner for you. But you know, if they're looking for a relationship and help in strategies and their branding, and you know, they want to have a relationship, and you start getting that sense, those are the customers you want, because you know, you want, at least myself, want to have the relationship, not just what's the cheapest price I can get churned out.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, great responses. Jack, any additional comments?
The franchises collectively have 9% of the population. Signworld has 1.5%. The professionally run sign companies that have companies that you envy to have, but you don't have the bandwidth to get right now, have about 5%. That leaves 85% of the population, 84% of the population to mom and pops who don't show up for the appointment, don't deliver the quote, don't deliver the product. That's your competition. Show up for the appointment.
And I love the analogy of Ken, our founder, always said, you go back to the days of the yellow pages and grab a couple of the pages that advertise the sign companies in your local area and hold those up. That's your competition. But all the other pages that fall are all your potential clients. There's so much demand out there. And I think that's the bigger picture to definitely focus on. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and wrap up for the day, because I'm sure our owners are ready to carry on with the rest of their business. So Don, Dave, and Ron, thank you all so much for joining us today and sharing your thoughts and perspectives for these prospective owners. We appreciate you individually and collectively with that. And for our participants, thanks for your continued interest in learning more about Signworld. On behalf of the corporate team, we look forward to continuing to help you on this journey to decide if this is the right chapter for you, or the right decision for your next chapter in life. So with that, I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your Wednesday, your upcoming holiday weekend. Be blessed, be well, and we'll talk to you all soon. Thanks, everyone.